Back with you tonight, John in Focus. Thanks for staying on. Government today unveiled the 100th locally built electrical train. The trains were built by the Gibela Consortium. Gibela Rail Consortium was contracted by State-owned Passenger Rail Agency of South Africa to build these trains. And Gibela Rail Consortium was, of course, announced in 2017 as one consortium that is set to bring about an investment towards a modernized rail system in the country. We're joined now by the Minister of Transport to outline a little bit more of what has been achieved through this consortium. Minister, good evening, and thank you very much for your time and for joining us tonight here on In Focus.
Good evening, and thank you for having us.
I don't need to tell you, I mean, you already know it was announced in 2017 maybe or so that this consortium is in place. At the time, the target was 600 locomotives as well as hybrid locomotives and new trains that would be implemented. Is this a point where we can say now this particular project is beginning to be in full swing?
The project had taken off. As you know, that it was formally launched in 2018, and we are expected to produce 60 trains per annum, and that was interrupted by COVID, but secondly by supply chain issues. So it affected the rollout of the trains, and in 2020 we're supposed to reach 100th train. So it's a milestone. So we will get to 600, but the overall projection is 3,600 that we must build of these trains.
You were, of course, announcing that in Danota today. And I mean, I'm sure people would have asked you, firstly, do the trains fit?
No,
that's the most important question.
Yeah. No, the trains do fit. The trains are locally manufactured, and then they are assembled here. We are not just getting parts all over the world and then assembling trains. We are manufacturing trains here. So the story of the trains was shown today to the public to know that you've got trains that are produced here in South Africa.
So that's very important. So the castings, the motors, all the complex items that go into is manufactured here. Nothing is important.
No, it is manufactured here. And then we were also unveiling in these 100 years the incubation of small, medium, macro enterprise. And guys who are playing a role in relation to this 70 million has been invested in this incubation of SMMEs, and then we are building now a supply park, where in which most of them will be moved from the site of Katlehong to the supply park, and then they will be nearer to the manufacturing site of the trains in Gibela.
So part of what you had committed to was also to train 19,500 artisans as part of this whole particular project. How far are we with that in bringing?
It is happening. Transfer of skills, it is magnificent. It is something else, you know. We've got 1,590% South Africans. And I'm not talking about people that you will be going and wanting to check where they are. They are there, young, women. And then transfer skills have given us artisans. Of course, those numbers will be reached with the expansion of this particular project. Because we are also not looking at South Africa, we're looking at Africa. And Africa, through the AU Assembly, have given us the mandate in the North-South corridor to produce trains for Africa. So that park is one story that South Africa need to be proud of, and it is not falling apart. It has survived COVID. We are at 100th train, and we have increased the production of the trains inside Gibela to 6 trains per week. So it can tell you a story that we are going very far.
You've been answering this question throughout the day. You're saying this Mbalula he was a minister of port, doesn't know how these trains work. You can build 10,000 trains. Where are they going to travel? Because there's no infrastructure. Isporo Sambile, it went during the time of COVID.
You are right that Isporo Sambile, you know, people, what they must understand is that it was for the first time after 40 years that we stopped the train from running during level 5 of COVID. In all the corridors, stopped.
Yeah.
No trains movement everywhere else in the country. But to come to your question, on Thursday or next week, I want to take you on the ground and then to see the work of recovery and reconstruction of the lines, to fix the pairways, instituting the OHTs, installing the signaling system. Some of the lines are running already. Mabopane is one. Solsville is running. Leralla, Pinarspoort on the site is been shut down for major reconstruction. By September, it is back online. Naledi is also under the same preparation. And then you look at Kliptown, starting way back down there from Vanderbilt Park past Kliptown up to Pretoria, also is been fixed, and including reconstruction of stations. So from where we were and where we are now, we are behind with about 2-3 months, but all of this will have come to operation by September. I'm talking now Joburg site only, and that will mean that they will have made a major dent in terms of train construction and winning back corridors. So that work is going on as we speak. It's major construction work alongside modernization, because Gibela, the trains you see, is part of modernization program. You see, we're talking about 91 million US dollars with a projection in South African rands of 124 billion invested into this project.
Where are you going to park them?
We're parking them at Volmartin. We're parking them at Bramfontein. We're parking them at Parc de Graal.
Yeah.
And that is the parking station where these trains are going. And we're destroying the old trains. As you can see, whenever you go to downtown in Johannesburg, there are trains there.
Yes.
That is the parking station of trains.
Yes.
So we'll be doing away with the old. And then as we build, we also bring the new ones into that particular space. We are now at the stage in terms of modernization of the expansion of these areas, in terms of allocating money and all of that. Work should have long been done. It has been there. Yeah. Money is allocated, committed. What happens is that whenever there is a shortage of money, and then there is a problem elsewhere, because they know Prasa doesn't have capacity to spend, then they take that particular money.
Yes.
So money is there. There's not been capacity, and that is what we've been building. Now we are ready to spend. Tenders are going out at Prasa, fast and furious, for Volmartin, for its expansion and all of that. You can go there. It's lovely to see where the trains are parked.
Are they safe where the trains are parked?
They are safe where they are parked. We were attacked during the riots, and we managed to defend Bramfontein. You remember Bramfontein and Cape Town station? One night you woke up, 18 carriages gone. There was no security. I can bet they can try now. That won't happen. Our key centers are well protected. But criminals don't tire. They will try all the time to try their luck. So during the riots, we pushed them hard, and we finished them off because they were coming for Park Station. Because they wanted flames, to come out of Park Station to show that indeed the insurrectionary movement is there and is about to take over. But we pushed them back very hard. So it was a silent revolution, but nice to see happening. The security is an integral part of our plans going forward.
Let's talk then about the issues of stability in terms of the management, in terms of the board, in terms of all those issues, because part of what you're saying is that the capacity was hollowed out at Prasa, and therefore didn't have, for example, a fixed board. Now it is there. Management, there was a sense that there's a remnants of state capture individuals still in the system that you still have not dealt with, and somewhat that creates a little bit of instability.
Let me first start with the work we have done. One, we had issues with the former board, interim board of Prasa and Kweyama. We basically called it a day with them, and then they were gone, and we took an approach of the administrator, and that was found to be legally flawed by the honorable judge in Cape Town.
Yeah.
So Mpondo didn't finish even a year there, and so, but he was doing a very important job. And then that's when I saw that we can function without boards in certain institutions, but the laws and that we have adopted for the functioning and structuring of SOEs will not allow that, because Prasa, to disband them, you have to do it via Parliament, because they are established through an act of Parliament out of the process of restructuring that happened some couple of years ago. So we lost that case, and we immediately did what the judge said we must do, and then we appointed the board as quick as we can. And then the board moved faster with the implementation of the CEO. And then the CEO was appointed, and there were issues with him in terms of his security clearance. That was the first point. The second point is that issues of performance. They didn't find, each other on that particular front. They went back and forth in relation to the board going to arbitration, the matter going to arbitration. He won. But after that, the board also won the case because he appealed and wanted to go back to work. So the courts did not grant that. They said there's no agency around that. But his contract is a contract that included the point that over time he's got to prove himself, he's got to deliver. Also the issues of age will continue to affect the CEO, because by the time he comes back, because it was a transitional issue, they will affect him dearly. Because the Prasa policy will no longer permit him to continue. I defended that.
Yeah.
And then,
so at this particular point, safe to say it's not yet sorted out.
It is not. No. Where we are now, the board must appoint the CEO. It's done. The CEO is challenging the board in courts and everywhere else. But there's no delay. The board must appoint the CEO. And then that matter must be processed in my books as quick as possible. If whatever way they resolve the matter, it must be resolved. Things are moving at high speed at Prasa at the moment. They are moving faster than the pace of Gautrain. Yeah. And I'm happy about that. That's what is important for me. Of course, there are corruption cases arising from state capture, even before state capture. That must be handled. And the board will report also on those as we move forward.
Let's come back and talk a little bit more about those reports of state capture and what is being done around those issues. And of course, we are continuing conversation with the Minister of Transport, Philippi Mbalula, along issues at Prasa that include, of course, the new trains that have been set up. But there have been some findings, particularly and recommendations put forward by Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, who was chairing the Commission of Inquiry into State Capture. We'll talk more on those issues in a moment. Stay with us. Back with you tonight here on In Focus in conversation with Transport Minister Philippi Mbalula along issues that have got to do with passenger rail, Prasa, and some of the announcements that they have made, of course, recently, including the 100th train locally manufactured via the Gibela consortium that was announced today. So before the break, Minister, we were particularly looking at two issues. One is, of course, the stability in the board, but also the stability in the management. One of the recommendations of the Commission of Inquiry into state capture, for example, was that there needs to be an investigation into the adjudication committee for the Siangena contract, for the Sufambo contract, because of the irregularities that are there. People have been named that you need to investigate and follow up on. What work is being done?
There's a lot of work that has been done. These matters are before the courts, Sufambo and Siangena. People are defending themselves there to say that their contracts were legit and that's it. The board quickly jumped into that and handled the matter and took this individual on. There are a lot of irregular contracts that happened. Some of them include Werksman, powerful company here in Johannesburg, and all of that. I know they also appeared before the State Commission, before the State Capture Commission. And there's a whole list of people that the Commission have listed that they must go for criminal prosecution, and that things must be sent to the Hawks for their involvement in this irregular contracts. Now, as you know, we account to the president, and the president will submit to Parliament by October on the course of action. But equally ourselves, we are working on that report in terms of looking at it and the steps that we need to take, and we need to report to the president within a specific period of time. So we need to give that report to the president, and we are working on it as we speak.
So you are working on the report, so none of these matters have been given to the NPA at this particular point?
They have been already given to NPA. Swifambo, Siangena, and many other corrupt activities there arising from the Aegis report and also arising from the derailed. They've all been submitted. They have been investigated. I am actually also patiently waiting for the result where it is said that somebody's been nailed and all of that. And I'm confident with the support and the restructuring of the law enforcement, giving capacity to ID, which was not there. You know, this was also hollowed out. It's not a weekend special to investigate crooks who over the years have sit down, mapped their way to steal money from state institutions in all sophisticated mannerism. So they are working on these cases. The results, when they come, is going to be like a happy holiday for everybody. But I'm confident in our law enforcement and the work they are doing that they will face the music. Those who are
taking so long? I mean, people, for example, they see in Stina matter already people are being arrested. In the Mediosa matter in the Northwest, people are already being arrested. They're saying, no, we're not seeing any movement there at Prasa.
Yes, arrests are going to happen, but not just arrests, but also conviction of individuals. The law, I can tell you, is grinding. Has been working very hard in the corridors of Prasa. In the past 2 years I've been around here, there is a lot of work and ground that is being covered. And you'll be shocked when the bombs are exploding. You are asking the very same question that is bedeviling me every day and night, to say that if there's anything about the state capture, not even state capture, about what happened at Prasa, if nobody get arrested, people will never have confidence in our justice system, because people were just doing things with impunity and illegally running amok, and it was just a picnic, it was a picnic. People were just doing things. You look at security contracts. If you are Mbalula, and then you just put together your brothers and you call yourself a security Mbalula brothers, and then you train them, I don't know where, in the mountains, back and forth, left, right, center, you know, and then we are a company registered, we've got a serious certificate, you go to Prasa. The vandalism is happening right there in front of the security. And then everything else happen in front of the security. Nobody can intervene and account for what is happening. So,
are those not the very same things that we've seen you having very public spats around those issues with the MKMVA?
Well, I did have public spats because they were accusing me. They opened cases against me. And then because they were really fighting the case that some of them, their names are there and their companies. They are there, irregular contracts. And then some of the companies went to court and then they won. And then the board took decisions to do away with contracts without putting contingency plans intact to say, if we remove these people, what are we doing to protect the network? And by the time we come in during the lockdown and we shut everything down, that's when even the vandalism and everything was exacerbated, because we're running between two places.
Yes.
One, the court; on the other, what do we do in terms of the contracts? Even now, we're still dealing with Judge Lopez's decisions in relation to Prasa security contracts. The question of separation of powers is an important issue for us in our democracy. Judges prescribing policy from the bench and imposing it on the legislatures to basically take this direction and that policy this direction, that doesn't work in terms of what we are supposed to do, because sometimes what you are told to do will not meet your required objectives, and it will either exacerbate or help or undermine the process. But we're dealing with those particular issues. We've gone a long way now from there. We in-source security. We are also training peace security officers, which are going to have the rights within Prasa to arrest 160 of them. We will unveil as we take you on the ground to showcase the work that we're doing. We've got 3,100 deployed, which we in-sourced. And then we have increased that complement with the tactical response, combat approach, security elements, all of it, and drones that we are using, and we have deployed them in some of our areas as we speak now. The digital capacity we are building in terms of security also is advancing.
Yeah.
So the counterintelligence and criminal chasing and all of that, insight and dealing with syndicates is going on. So we've got a very comprehensive approach when it comes to security at Prasa at the present moment.
Let's talk about the central line then. I mean, that's one of the projects that seemingly is going to be quite delayed by that settlement that built there over the years. Where are you taking those people? You've identified a place. What is going to happen to them?
Well, thank you to the Minister of Human Settlement and the City of Cape Town, Malusi, MMC there, and Kubai Minister here. They've really helped us a lot because they cooperate in terms of giving us. You would have seen me in Cape Town looking for shelter. It took me a year and a half to get this. It's not easy to move people. And I went to speak to those people. Those are our people. They are empowered by the law. They are sitting there illegally, but if I have to move them, I must give them a place to settle. They have agreed to move now. The court have also ruled in our favor. We've found land for them. So we'll be moving the first patch alongside, Langa down there, and then Philippi. Our Achilles heel is going to be Kailicha. We are also looking for land for them. Human settlement, Mamloko just came, all hands on deck. We're working very hard on that project together with the team, the DG there, as well as the City of Cape Town, Malusi, and the City of Cape Town are also working with Human Settlement to help us. We have been negotiating with them that move a little bit so that we can get the trains running. Central Line, together with Mabupani, should be running same time.
Yeah.
So we are now running a limited service from July, end of July, or even before then, on the Central Line, Bellville area and so on. But we want the biggest one, to round it off, because, look, you're talking electricity, you're talking fuel, all sorts of things, and transport is hitting hard on our people. That is giving me a headache. Yeah. That's the thing that is not giving me sleepless nights. Let me tell you the truth. Yeah. And we work very hard with my team to get the trains running in Cape Town, because it's a mess for the working force in that part of the country.
Finally, before we let you go, load shedding, how is that affecting the running of the trains?
Load shedding affects everything. It affects everything. It's a mess. Business is a mess. It does affect. And there's no promise that it will not affect, because our trains are running on electricity. It's cheaper, but we also responding to carbon emissions. So there is a vision there. Part of what now we want to bring in our trains more we are building is hydrogen, to build it in so that we don't just only function on electricity. I hope by the time we get to that decision and build trains that have that capacity, load shedding will be behind us. So it does affect us. It will affect us going forward. But this far, the management of it has been good. Where we are running this service of electric trains, we have not encountered a number of problems, but that does not mean we will not going forward.
Minister, appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.
That is the Minister of Transport there, Philippi Mbalula, outlining some of the work that is being done, particularly in the modernization investment program around Passenger Rail Agency of South Africa.